Welcome again to IQVastu. Here in this video we are going to show you through the three buttons. We are going to walk you through the three buttons with an example, an actual live example. So first we go to the left button. Left button needs to tell us what. So it shows us the picture of Bhuvaraha Swami. Bhuvaraha Swami, according to epics and shastras and itihasa, says that when Bhuma Devi or the earth went under deluge, he kindly lifted her up in his elbow and saved her. And there are some astrological marks here that he used Rahu in Kanya and things like that. I mean, that tells us when this situation happened and when it could repeat again. So that is Bhuvaraha Swami. So it says here, did your property or house undergo flooding? Was there bankruptcy in the household? Any water leak, flooding issue on the cards for this house? That's what we need to find out. So it also says the remedy is to worship Bhuvaraha Swami if there is something like that. Now you look at the number. Lagnam is the house, as you know, and the maximum is about 43, which means on occasion, maybe once during the lifetime of the house, with the starting entry date, there could be a series event. That's like 43%. Assume that it is 0 through 100. You see 43.001 in red. So that's pretty high. The likelihood of flooding occurring is very high. Right? So this is a negative event. And we go to the positive events. We call negative positive because they are opposed to each other. I mean, you could have damages from positive events also. So here it says same Bhuvaraha Swami, but it says reversal. Reversal of flooding, excess dry heat, desiccation, right? So if there is flood damage indicated, then the dryness is also indicated. Number is a little small. It's like 7.93, right? So that's not very extreme. Like if you have flood is extreme, then the dryness following that is kind of mild. Not mild, but not as extreme. So extreme dry heat would mean something like a result of a burn, but here it is not that much, right? So this is the what situation. So if you go into the house and go into the left button, you are seeing this, right? These among other things. Now let's go to the Vastu compliance, right? That's the middle button, which tells us about where, right? Where in the house this is happening. So you notice there's this barbecue-like icon that's drawn, right, in the top left corner of the house. Meaning, you enter the house from the. Let's say this is we don't know where the east and west are marked because it's not shown in the picture. But you enter from the bottom, you go towards the top, and next to the window there is some dry place, right? It says that Rahu and Mars together will dry out that place. And then it says here in the legend, area causes inflammation in general. It's desiccating dry heat. So the remedy for breathing difficulty would be perform Adho Mukha Svanasana. So it's some yogic thing that you do a pose, yogic pose, to clear or lengthen your air passage, something like that. There is also another suggested, which is to keep a water fountain there with an atomizer or something. It's there in the software, but it's not showing us here. So now this is the where part. Where says dry corner is top left. Now let's go back to the middle, and then now we are going to look at when this is going to happen. So this house, if you notice on the right side picture is the astrological chart, native chart for the house on entry. Sun was about 16 degrees, so this must be beginning of the month of July, right? So 7/1/21, and then so we are looking about a month and a half later, right? 8/15. You notice there is dryness happening. That is last year. Last year there was dryness in the northwest, Pacific Northwest, quite dry, right? And overall, meaning in this house as well, but overall also, outside also, it was pretty dry. We northwest suffered temperatures like 100 degrees Fahrenheit, heat waves and so on. So now on the right side, you notice the numbers, right? Reversal of flooding in green meaning it says great, but the force is great, meaning if you suffered from it, you would suffer from it, pretty much greater suffering, right? Now this was on 15th, okay? So it shows here, we try to interpret for Vastu with some English. I mean, if you know the kind of suffering you've incurred like this before, as a matter of looking at it, you will realize what it means. I mean, there are various possibilities for this, but we kind of hint at one or two, and once you encounter an event, that's the same kind of event that's going to repeat for you, so you will know what this is. Oh, last time this happened, it said this happened, this time it's saying this will happen again, kind of thing, right? Now, you notice these native charts, you see the sun that has come down on the left side, right? August 15th, we are looking at sun just getting into Leo, maybe sun is at 28 degrees in Cancer. Now we go to the next slide, which is 16th of August. Suddenly you notice that on the right in the legend, it says flood damage indicated, right? 43%. And then you have the rest of the same things, right? Quintessential block, whatever. I don't know what that means here in this context, but it gives you everything that happens to the household, heads of household, in that house, right? Now, this territory flooding thing relates to sudden flooding, right? Rain, heavy downpour, things like that. So some wetting, flooding. So we go from 16th through 18th, right? Flooding is gone. So what causes flooding instantly and then goes away? Now if you notice this dryness thing keeps happening, right? You notice the dryness, that has not gone anywhere. That's the reversal of flooding, excess dry heat, desiccating. That's been happening, and that's continuing to happen. And it's pretty high. It's 7.93%. Okay. Now you go, there is another negative that has happened suddenly. Illegitimate tenancy or short stay, meaning it is in the 7th house, meaning somebody from work, somebody from spousal relationship, somebody or somebody who's focused on your issues, right? Some work. So the English interpretation here says taking in spouse, colleague or work giver because of illegitimate tenancy. So illegitimate meaning this person should not be there, but is there, right? So let me explain to you what happened on 17th. So on 17th, this apartment complex went through a fire at the rooftop, right? Then there were fire engines, and they poured a lot of water from the top and wiped out the fire, right? And because of that, we had, if you notice in the next slide, we had water coming down the walls. So if water comes down the walls, there is humidity that's built up. I mean, there is wetness that's built up. And if wetness is allowed to continue in that area and dry by itself, it's not going to do that, and it's going to create fungus and so on. So the building manager came over. So this is the illegitimate stay workforce guy who came, who wanted to solve our problem, right? Came and he checked out with a water meter that the water content was 99% in that corner. That is shown. Now notice that this is the corner, the top left corner of the house. As indicated by Vastu, this place needed drying. So you notice the industrial fan that is in the bottom right of the picture, right? The concrete needed to dry, the light concrete slab needed to dry, and the walls needed to dry. So the slats were pulled out. These are like vinyl flooring. They were pulled out, and the fan was left running. Actually, I think this was about 3 weeks. So what really happened was, you notice how the flooding thing came and it was very powerful, but then it went off. This means flooding happened somehow, and in this case it was because of a fire, the fire personnel putting down with gushing water, right? There was just too much water on the roof which came down the walls. And the 7.9 desiccating heat that was shown there, it was 3 weeks of this fan running. It mentioned breathing difficulty. The difficulty was that the faces of all the people that were there, the lips, the chafing of the lips, the inability to breathe, this was some HEPA filter thing, industrial thing, which was running constantly in the house with a lot of sound. So there was a lot of noise, there was a lot of dry air which kept happening. And after 3 weeks, the water meter said 0% everywhere, and this fan was removed. But the floor was not repaired. There was another crew that came much later to do that. So here is an example. Now the questions, right? How? So of course, there is this astrology package that tells us what happens, where it happens, and when it happens, right? And the where part is being done by Vishwakarma's, sage Vishwakarma's Vastu Shastra, right? It says where Rahu is positioned, where Mars is positioned, where the dryness is positioned, everything like that. They have given the map. So when events happen, these events happen at a particular place. So what are the things that we could have done to avoid it? We could not have done anything to avoid it, but we never put a seating arrangement in that place. So we realized that breathing there would be pretty hard, and we did not put any seating in that area. We avoided that area. And so until this event happened, it remained pretty vacant, and then after this event happened. After this event happened, it again continued to remain vacant because the slats were removed. So this is an example. Now, this is all software that we have written. How they realize that this corner is dry depends on the nature of Rahu and Mars when they come together. This is astrology. The sages have written this, and we are simply following the rules, the ground rules that Vastu Shastra says, and so we are giving it to you in this package, right? This is not our science. We are only doing the computer science part of it to show you graphically where these things are. As to when this thing happens, right? The when part is very accurate. How it is accurate, how the events happen when planets come together in conjunction. In this case, if you notice, Sun has transitioned on 16th, and Mars got Mars has to go. Mars is the owner of heat, so when Mars goes down, Agni, right? So when it goes down in power, because there is Mercury, his enemy, and so on. So these are astrological things. So not everybody can interpret these, but we have tried to do our best to interpret what has been said into sort of English, right? So if you get used to the kind of English and you start interpreting the events around you, when you're staying in that house at a particular time, and you notice what happens where in that house, then you know how to interpret future events as well, as and when it comes up here. So that's the idea. So we are doing the computer science part of it. The sages have given Vishwakarma has taught the sages, and the sages have given Vastu Shastra rules, and we are only interpreting those on the house's plan, graphically and also time-wise, right? To say what will happen, what has happened, or what will happen for the house, depending on the entry date. Then where in the house will it happen, based on Vastu rules, and when you are expecting some events that you have to maybe prepare for, right? We were forced to take a vacation from that house because the fan really chaffed our lips, and we could not breathe at night time. We were forced to turn off the fan in the night time and so on. So those are things in your realm that you understand, and you comprehend the effects of it, and you make arrangements, right? So I will keep putting videos like this to show various things that Vastu Shastra explains, and you can see the power of how the sages have come very close to telling you, to giving you the control, to giving you the power of how to evade or manage events as and when they happen in the household. Thank you.